There's a shared understanding that native restoration, natural ecosystems, reforesting and recloaking the whenua is a way to address many challenges that we face. Forests sequester carbon, so they contribute to climate mitigation, but also forests protect the land and they can contribute to climate adaptation because they reduce landslide risk, they reduce flood incidents and so on. The Living Labs is a research program which is establishing ecosystem restoration projects with different experiments built into them. It was originally created by myself and a couple of AUT colleagues, Hannah Buckley and Brad Case. And so, they were ecologists and I was a social scientist, so it was established as a collaboration thinking about not just those ecology questions, but also some of the social challenges around how does it improve human well-being, not just the well-being of the land. The partnership with Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei came from an invitation. They had identified some land where they had ambitions to plant trees. They saw a future where we weren't just engaging with university students, but bringing tamarkiki and to have these ecological experiences that we're hoping to provide. I think thinking back from my own childhood, I was a geography student. That was my initial passion as an academic. Some of my clearest memories from learning geography was being in the field, seeing different land uses, measuring their impacts, actually having those experiences and getting a different perspective on landscapes and sites that otherwise you just often travel past or don't connect with in a deeper way. So I like to think that the experiences that children are having through the Learning from Nature program are experiences that they will carry with them for their lives, helping them to learn especially regenerative and restoration practices.
I got involved with Living Labs nearly 5 years ago. I used to be a high school science teacher and I'd done that for maybe 15 years in New Zealand and Australia and a couple of other places. And I thought, I might give something else a go. I managed to find this role here at the university, which was quite unique and certainly something new. The site at Aotearoa, it used to be an old pony club. When we arrived in 2019, I guess it was in a period of handover in that we started doing some soil sampling and so forth, and then we looked to get it ready for planting. In the first 2 years at Aotearoa, we planted 10,000 trees and we tagged 1,000 of them. Our overarching question in this study is, how do you grow a good cheap forest? And then you say, well, what's in a forest? The trees, the birds, the insects, what's living in the soil, the quality of the soil, what's the slope. So then we want to measure as much of that as we can. We've engaged with different schools, upper high school, lower high school, intermediate primary school. We welcome them onto site. And then we move into collecting data. Some of these things are real easy to do, measuring height of a tree with a tape measure, diameter with the tree with calipers as well. Some of these other things, you need a bit more expensive gear, like using a soil moisture reader, which is very easy to use. We can get students to use that. We can do invertebrate sampling, where you sweep a net or hold a net under a tree and hit it with a stick and maybe see what different insects fall out onto your net. Then their data can contribute to our research. What we want is schools to be able to set up their own living labs in their own neighbourhoods. So doing exactly what we're doing over at Aotearoa. And then we can all start to share data, and then there's other schools around. And that research that's taking place will be stronger when you can repeat the research in more places because you get a bigger sample size. We see that this could happen anywhere in Aotearoa.
The greatest challenge is always funding. The funding of these educational experiences in nature. It doesn't necessarily fall into any obvious funding stream. So that was one of the challenges for us. And so it's why we're very grateful for the funding opportunity from Whakatupu. We are still collecting the data. These sites are a work in progress. I think in the decades ahead, there's going to be a greater awareness that to enhance the resilience of our surroundings, whether it's in rural areas or whether it's in urban areas, one of the best and most effective ways of doing that is recreating natural ecosystems, whether it's forests or wetlands. The knowledge that we produce through this, when it gets shared more widely, I like to think that we're planting seeds everywhere, which will manifest as community level restoration projects, perhaps in schools or perhaps in the local surroundings around schools too, not just for learning experiences, but also to make a material impact in regards to reducing some of these climate related risks, which will increase, unfortunately, in the years ahead.